Evidently, it's time to make America great again, which is great. Who doesn't love greatness? I love greatness. I want to be great. The problem? Well, for those of us who want to be great, but are also attempting to follow Jesus at the same time, well, it turns out that Jesus is the problem. You see, he was asked by the disciples. They came to him. Matthew 18 tells a story. The disciples came to Jesus and they said, "So, Jesus, who is the greatest? Who's the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" Because they wanted to be great again, too. But what Jesus did was shocking in his culture. What Jesus did is he called a child to himself. Now, in our society, we love kids. More kids, the better. Children are oftentimes the peak of our society. They're the center of our world, the center of our universe. They're the reason for our existence. But in Jesus' society, that was not true. In Jesus' society, children were the dregs of society. They were at a level alongside the deaf and dumb and blind, the sick, the poor. Children were the disposables in Jesus' society. So when the disciples said, "Tell us, who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" and Jesus grabs a child, it was shocking. Okay? That's why the disciples always tried to keep children away from Jesus, not to be bothered by those disposable humans. We need to keep the important people, the great people, around Jesus. So it was shocking. Jesus pulls this child to himself and he says, "Unless you change," he's talking to his disciples, people who claim to be following him, right? If you're going to be followers of me, unless you change and become like children, like these disposable, lowly human beings that you don't even want to be around, unless you change and become like them, you're not even going to enter the kingdom of heaven. Quit talking about who's going to be the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Unless you change and become like one of these that you consider to be disposable, you're not even going to be in the kingdom of heaven. So don't talk to me about who's the greatest. So, Jesus said, "But whoever will humble themselves like this child, whoever will set aside whatever greatness they think greatness means in the world, and they will set that aside to take on the humility of a child, what it means to be the lowliest in society, that person who sets aside the greatness of the world for the lowliness of a child, that person is going to be what it means to become great again in the kingdom of heaven." Right? In the kingdom of heaven. Things are different there, Jesus said. Things are different than what you understand. Right? So to be great again, great, right? You must become one of these lowliest disposable human beings that exist. That's because greatness in the kingdom of God is just different. It's not wealth, it's not freedom, it's not security or safety or even happiness, a life of ease, all the stuff we hope it is. Nope, Jesus says to be great is oftentimes in the kingdom of heaven quite the opposite. It's why Jesus calls the road to greatness, he calls it the narrow road. And he actually kind of advises against it. He says, if you're going to try out this narrow road, I suggest you count the cost. Because the road to greatness in the kingdom of heaven is expensive. It will cost you everything. That wide road, you know the wide road. The wide road is the one with all the people on it, right? It's obvious which road is the wide road. Everybody's on it. That's a more attractive road. Jesus knew it was going to be a more attractive road. But it's a path to a different kind of greatness. It's a greatness experienced in the kingdom of men, not in the kingdom of God, according to Jesus. It looks pretty great to me, don't get me wrong. But according to Jesus, he says, it's not leading to greatness. It's leading, he says, to destruction. Yet, again, Jesus knew that's where you'd find the majority of us, heading off to that greatness, in pursuit of that greatness. Jesus had one more warning to his disciples, to those who were thinking they were following him in pursuit of greatness, right? Jesus has this warning to them, what life looks like along the narrow road to become great again. Jesus says, whoever receives one such person as this, one of these lowly children, whoever receives one of them, whoever accepts one of them, of the outcasts of society, the dregs of society, the people nobody wants around, whoever receives one such person has also received me. And I would suggest, Jesus doesn't say this, but I would suggest the opposite is true. Whoever refuses one such person refuses him. Actually, Jesus did say that. I take it back. He did say that, also in Matthew. Anyway, he said, but if anybody also causes any one of these little ones, these lowly ones, these disposable humans, if any one of you causes any one of these children who are trusting in me to stumble, Jesus says, that's not going to be good for you. He says, you'd actually be better off with a heavy millstone, not sure what that is, probably cement boots, around your neck or your feet, and then thrown into the depths of the sea, Jesus said. So, I think the idea of becoming great again is awesome. It's complicated, though, if we think we're following Jesus at the same time. Because greatness in the kingdom of heaven does not look like the greatness that we are pursuing today. So, for those of us claiming to be following Jesus and looking to be great again, our path is clear. Our path is clear. I'll see you out there.